The space around Proxima Station was dark and cold, but it was not empty. 847 alien warships floated in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming under the distant stars. Each ship was bigger than a city block, armed with weapons that could turn planets into dust. Fleet Admiral Kethvar stood in his command chamber aboard the flagship. His 6 arms moved across control panels while his compound eyes watched dozens of screens. The insect-like alien had spent months planning this moment. Today, the human race would finally be crushed. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his second-in-command clicked in their native language. "The humans cannot possibly reach the core worlds now. We control every jump point in this sector." Kethvar's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. The humans had been a surprising enemy. They fought harder than expected, used strange tactics, and refused to surrender even when defeat was certain. But they were still just mammals with primitive technology. This blockade would end their resistance forever. 300 light-years away, Commander Jake Collins gripped the railing of his ship's bridge. The USS Dakota was humanity's newest battleship, equipped with technology that barely worked and powered by desperation. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet determination. "Jump calculations complete, sir," reported Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from the tactical station. Her fingers moved across her console, double-checking numbers that seemed impossible. "The quantum displacement drive is showing green across all systems." Chief Engineer Rick Murphy's voice crackled over the comm system. "Sir, I have to say this one more time. What we're trying to do shouldn't be possible. The gravitational interference from that many ships should make a jump impossible." Collins nodded. He knew the risks. Every simulation had failed. Every calculation showed certain death. But Earth's colonies were dying one by one, and this was humanity's last chance to strike back. "Dr. Blake, what's your assessment?" Collins asked the ship's science officer. Dr. Susan Blake looked up from her instruments. "The theory is sound, Commander. If we can create a quantum tunnel directly into the center of their formation, we'll have a few minutes before they can respond. The displacement should disrupt their sensors long enough for us to accomplish our mission." "And if the theory is wrong?" Collins asked. "Then we'll be scattered across several solar systems in very small pieces," Blake replied calmly. Collins looked around his bridge. 43 crew members had volunteered for this mission, knowing they would probably not return home. They were all that stood between the alien fleet and Earth's last free colonies. "All stations report ready, sir," Amy Rodriguez announced. "Jump drive is charged and waiting for your order." Collins took a deep breath. In a few seconds, they would either make history or become a footnote in humanity's final chapter. "Execute jump," he ordered. The Dakota shuddered as reality bent around her. Space twisted into impossible shapes, colors that had no names and sounds that shouldn't exist. In the vacuum of space, for 3 seconds that felt like hours, the ship existed nowhere and everywhere at once. Then, suddenly, they were there. The Dakota materialized in the exact center of the Zephyrian fleet, surrounded by hundreds of alien warships. The massive vessels stretched in every direction, their weapon ports glowing with ready energy. It was like appearing inside a metal forest where every tree wanted to kill you. "Jump successful," Amy Rodriguez reported, her voice tight with disbelief. "We're exactly where we wanted to be." "Impossible," whispered Rick Murphy over the comm. "The quantum drive actually worked." On the alien flagship, alarms began screaming. Kethvar's compound eyes widened as his instruments showed something that couldn't be real. A human ship had somehow appeared in the middle of his formation, in a space that should have been empty seconds before. "Report!" he barked at his subordinates. "Sir, sensors show a human battleship at coordinates 77 Alpha. One officer replied. "But that's impossible. Nothing was there during our last scan." "Run diagnostics on all sensor arrays," Kethvar ordered. "This must be some kind of malfunction." Other ship commanders throughout the fleet were reporting the same impossible readings. A human vessel had somehow appeared among them, but none of their instruments could explain how. On the Dakota's bridge, Collins smiled grimly. The confusion was exactly what they had hoped for. "Amy, target analysis. How many priority targets do we have? 12 command ships within optimal firing range, Rodriguez reported. Including their flagship, all major coordination nodes are accessible. Rick, how long until they figure out we're really here? Collins asked. Based on their communication patterns, maybe 10 minutes before they coordinate a response, the engineer replied. But sir, once they do, we'll be facing the firepower of 800 ships. Collins nodded. 10 minutes to change the course of a war. 10 minutes to give humanity a fighting chance. 10 minutes before certain death. Dr. Blake, are you recording everything? He asked. All sensor data is being transmitted back to Earth in real time, Blake confirmed. Even if we don't make it, Command will have detailed intelligence on their fleet composition and tactics. Collins looked at the alien ships surrounding them. Each one was bigger and more powerful than the Dakota, but they were confused and disorganized. Surprise was humanity's greatest weapon, and they had achieved total surprise. All stations prepare for combat, Collins announced to his crew. Remember, we're not here to win a fair fight. We're here to cause enough chaos to give our people back home a chance. Make every shot count. The Dakota's weapons powered up as the crew prepared for the most desperate battle in human history. Outside, the alien fleet was slowly realizing that the impossible had happened. A single human ship had appeared in their midst, and everything they thought they knew about warfare was about to change. In the cold darkness of space, surrounded by enemies on all sides, 43 humans prepared to show the galaxy what their species was truly capable of when backed into a corner. The USS Dakota opened fire with everything she had. 12 different alien ships found themselves under attack at the same moment, their shields flaring bright against the darkness of space. Commander Collins had chosen his targets carefully. Command vessels, communication hubs, and coordination ships that kept the massive fleet working together. Direct hits on targets 1 through 8, Amy Rodriguez reported from her tactical station. Targets 9 and 12 are showing heavy damage. Their command systems are offline. Collins watched the battle display as explosions bloomed across nearby alien ships. The Dakota's advanced targeting computers could track and engage multiple enemies at once, something the aliens had never seen before. Their ships were designed to fight other fleets, not a single vessel that had appeared in their midst. Launch boarding pods, Collins ordered. Target the flagship. Captain Lisa Martinez had been waiting for this command. She led 30 Marines toward the launch bays, each soldier carrying weapons designed specifically for fighting the insect-like Zephyrians. They had trained for months in mock-ups of alien ship layouts, studying every piece of intelligence humanity had gathered. Remember, we need their admiral alive, Martinez told her squad leaders over the comm. Dead commanders can't give us information, and we need to know where the rest of their forces are positioned. The boarding pods shot out from the Dakota, like bullets, their small size making them hard to target. The alien flagship's defensive guns tried to track them, but the pods were too fast and too close. Within minutes, they had punched through the hull and Martinez's Marines were inside the enemy ship. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Frank Harrison sat at the communications station, his fingers flying across multiple keyboards. He was broadcasting on every frequency the aliens used, sending false orders in perfect Zephyrian language. The ship's computer had spent months learning alien communication patterns from intercepted transmissions. Fleet command to all vessels. Maintain current positions, Harrison transmitted, perfectly mimicking a Zephyrian officer's voice. Do not fire on unknown contact until identity is confirmed. At the same time, he sent different orders to other parts of the fleet. All ships moved to defensive formation beta, and priority targets have been identified in Sector 12. Redirect all firepower immediately. The conflicting orders created exactly the chaos Collins had hoped for. Some alien ships held their positions, while others moved to new formations. Several groups of vessels found themselves pointing weapons at each other instead of at the human ship. On the alien flagship, Fleet Admiral Kethvar tried desperately to restore order to his fleet. His communications officer was reporting impossible interference on all channels, with orders coming from multiple sources that contradicted each other. Sir, I'm receiving attack orders from 3 different command ships. The officer clicked, nervously. But sensors show those ships are either damaged or destroyed. Override all communications, Kethvar ordered. Send direct beam transmissions to all vessel commanders. Tell them to ignore all previous orders and concentrate fire on the human ship. But it was too late for simple solutions. Captain Martinez and her Marines had already reached the flagship's main corridors, fighting their way through surprised alien defenders. The Zephyrians were individually stronger than humans, but they had never faced enemies who could appear anywhere at any time. Sergeant Paul Carter led one team toward the engine rooms, while Corporal Nina Foster took another group toward the bridge. The Marines moved through the alien ship like they had trained there for years, using human-made maps created from previous intelligence gathering. These bugs don't know how to fight in their own hallways, Carter reported over the comm as his team cleared another corridor. They're used to fighting in open space, not close quarters. The aliens' advantage in size and strength meant nothing in the narrow passages of their own ship. Human tactics, developed through centuries of fighting each other, proved superior in the cramped conditions. The Marines used breaching charges, smoke grenades, and coordinated team movements that the aliens couldn't counter. Back on the Dakota's bridge, Dr. Susan Blake was analyzing the alien fleet formation with growing excitement. "Commander, I'm seeing something interesting in their defensive patterns," she reported. "They've never trained for an attack from inside their formation. All their weapons are pointing outward." Collins studied her data. The alien fleet was like a fortress with no interior walls, strong against outside attack but helpless against enemies who were already inside. "How long can we maintain fire before they adapt?" "At current rate, maybe 5 more minutes, Amy," Rodriguez answered. "But sir, we're taking heavy damage from the ships that have figured out what's happening. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7 and our shield generators are failing." Chief Engineer Rick Murphy's voice came over the comm with urgency. "Sir, I can give you one more quantum jump, but it'll drain everything we have. After that, we'll be running on emergency power only." Collins faced an impossible choice. They could jump away and save the ship, but that would abandon the Marines aboard the alien flagship. Or they could stay and fight, knowing the Dakota would eventually be destroyed by overwhelming firepower. "Keep us here," Collins decided. "Our people are on that flagship, and they're accomplishing something important." Indeed, Captain Martinez had reached the flagship's bridge, where she found Admiral Kethvar trying to coordinate his scattered fleet. The alien commander turned to face the human soldiers, his compound eyes reflecting anger and surprise. "Surrender your ship," Martinez ordered, her weapon trained on the alien admiral. "Your fleet is in chaos, and more human forces are on there." Kethvar's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. He had commanded fleets for decades, conquered dozens of worlds, but he had never faced anything like this. A single human ship had appeared from nowhere and torn apart his carefully planned formation in minutes. The battle was far from over, but the first phase had gone exactly as Collins had hoped. The alien fleet was confused. Their command structure was damaged, and most importantly, humanity had proven that the seemingly invincible Zephyrian forces could be beaten. Captain Lisa Martinez pressed her back against the cold metal wall of the alien flagship. The corridor ahead was filled with Zephyrian warriors, their insect-like bodies clicking and chittering as they prepared to attack. Each alien was twice the size of a human, with razor-sharp claws and natural armor that could stop small arms fire. "Flash grenades now," Martinez whispered into her comm. The corridor exploded with blinding light. The aliens' compound eyes, designed for detecting movement in space, were overwhelmed by the sudden brightness. Martinez and her Marines rushed forward while the enemies were stunned, using their temporary advantage to push deeper into the ship. Sergeant Paul Carter was 3 decks below, fighting his way toward the engine room with 8 Marines. The alien crew here was different. Engineers and technicians who had never expected to fight for their lives aboard their own ship. They ran when they saw the humans coming, leaving their stations undefended. "Control room secured," Carter reported. "These bug engineers don't want to fight. They're more scared than we are." Carter's team quickly began setting charges on critical systems. They couldn't destroy the massive ship, but they could disable its ability to coordinate the fleet. Creating alien technology was strange but not impossible to understand. Power flowed through conduits just like human ships, and explosives worked the same way in any language. Meanwhile, Corporal Nina Foster led her squad toward the bridge where Admiral HFY was trapped. The aliens had sealed the blast doors, but human breaching charges made short work of their defenses. Each explosion sent shockwaves through the ship, reminding everyone aboard that the humans were still coming. "Sir, we're taking heavy casualties," one of Foster's Marines reported. "These bugs fight harder when they're cornered." Foster nodded grimly. The Zephyrians near the bridge were elite guards, not engineers or common soldiers. They fought with the desperation of creatures defending their most important leader. But humans had something the aliens didn't understand: the willingness to sacrifice everything for their mission. On the Dakota's bridge, Commander Collins watched his ship slowly dying around him. Hull breaches were spreading, power systems were failing, and enemy fire was getting heavier by the minute. But his crew remained at their stations, knowing their sacrifice was buying precious time for the Marines. "Sir, quantum drive is ready for emergency jump," Chief Engineer Rick Murphy reported. "But if we leave now, the Marines are trapped." Collins looked at the tactical display. 23 minutes had passed since they appeared in the alien fleet. The Dakota had disabled or destroyed 37 enemy vessels. But there were still hundreds more. Soon the aliens would coordinate their fire and turn his ship into scrap metal. "How long can we hold position?" Collins asked. "Maybe 10 more minutes before hull integrity fails completely," Murphy replied honestly. Dr. Susan Blake looked up from her science station with excitement in her eyes. "Commander, I'm detecting something important from the flagship. They have a quantum communication array, much more advanced than anything we've seen before." Collins understood immediately. If they could capture that technology, humanity could coordinate resistance efforts across all the occupied colonies. Earth could finally communicate instantly with scattered human forces throughout the galaxy. "All Marines, priority target is the communication array," Collins broadcast. "Whatever happens to us, that technology must not be destroyed." Captain Martinez received the message just as her team reached the flagship's command center. Admiral HFY stood behind a barrier of his personal guards, all 6 of his arms working frantically at control panels. He was trying to activate the ship's self-destruct sequence rather than let humans capture his vessel. "Stop him!" Martinez shouted. The final battle for the bridge was brutal and quick. Human Marines fought alien warriors in hand-to-hand combat, using their superior training and tactics against the aliens' natural weapons. The Zephyrians were stronger, but humans were faster and more adaptable. Corporal Foster's precise shooting disabled the self-destruct controls just as HFY was about to activate them. The alien admiral screamed in rage and frustration as he realized his ship was now completely under human control. "Bridge secured," Martinez reported. "We have the admiral and access to all ship systems." Dr. Blake's voice crackled over the comm, with barely contained excitement. "Captain, that quantum array is incredible. With this technology, we can contact every human colony instantly. The tactical advantages are enormous." On the Dakota, Collins made his final decision. The quantum drive had enough power for one last jump, but using it would strand his Marines on the enemy flagship. However, staying meant certain death for his entire crew as more alien ships closed in for the killing blow. "All hands, prepare for final transmission to Earth," Collins announced. "We're going to send everything we've learned about the enemy fleet, their tactics and their technology. Even if we don't make it home, this information will help humanity win the war." The Dakota's communications array began broadcasting at maximum power, sending compressed data bursts toward Earth at faster-than-light speeds. Everything they had discovered about Zephyrian weaknesses, fleet formations, and technology was packaged into a signal that would reach human command in hours, instead of months. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez looked at her captain with respect and sadness. "Sir, transmission complete. Earth will know what we accomplished here." Collins nodded. The Dakota had done her job. A single human battleship had appeared where it should have been impossible, struck at the heart of an enemy fleet, and proven that humanity would never surrender. Now it was time to face the consequences. "All stations maintain position," Collins ordered. Our Marines need a few more minutes to secure that communication technology. We're staying until the job is done. Outside the Dakota's failing shields, hundreds of alien warships finally began to coordinate their attack. But inside the captured flagship, Captain Martinez and her Marines were already using Zephyrian technology to contact human forces across the galaxy. The war was about to change in ways no one could imagine. The USS Dakota shuddered as another wave of alien weapons fire tore through her hull. Commander Collins gripped his command chair as explosions rocked the bridge. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and the lights flickered as power systems failed. One by one. Hull breach on Deck 6, Chief Engineer Rick Murphy reported, his voice strained. We're losing life support in 3 sections. I can't hold her together much longer, sir. Collins nodded grimly. The Dakota had been fighting for 37 minutes against impossible odds. Half his crew was dead or wounded, but they had accomplished something incredible. The alien fleet around them was in complete chaos, their coordination destroyed by the capture of their flagship. On the captured alien command ship, Captain Martinez stood in the communication center with Dr. Blake, who had been transported over. During the fighting, the quantum array before them hummed with power, its alien technology far beyond anything humans had ever built. This is amazing, Blake whispered as she studied the controls. They can send messages instantly across the entire galaxy. No delays, no signal degradation. With this, we can coordinate every human force in real time. Martinez watched as Blake worked to understand the alien technology. Around them, her remaining Marines held defensive positions, ready to fight off any counterattack. They had lost 12 good soldiers taking this ship, but the prize was worth any cost. Doctor, how long until you can send a message to Earth? Martinez asked. I'm adapting our communication protocols now, Blake replied, her fingers dancing over both human and alien controls. Maybe 5 more minutes. This quantum array is incredibly complex, but the basic principles are similar to our own technology. Admiral Kethvar sat in the corner under guard, his compound eyes watching the humans work with his ship's most advanced systems. The alien commander's mandibles clicked with what might have been grudging respect. These mammals had done something his own species considered impossible. You cannot understand what you have captured, Kethvar said in broken human language. That array connects to every Zephyrian fleet in the galaxy. Your people will learn things they were never meant to. No, Martinez smiled coldly. That's exactly what we're hoping for. Blake's excitement grew as she accessed more of the alien database. Captain, this is incredible. I can see the positions of every Zephyrian force in human space. Their supply lines, their planned attacks, even their home fleet positions. This is the complete battle plan for their entire invasion. On the Dakota, Collins received Blake's transmission with wonder and sadness. The information was exactly what humanity needed to turn the tide of war, but his ship was dying around him. They had maybe 10 more minutes before the hull collapsed. Completely. Amy, transmit everything to Earth immediately, Collins ordered Lieutenant Rodriguez. Maximum power, all frequencies. This intelligence must reach home. Rodriguez worked frantically at her damaged console. Transmission away, sir. Earth Command should receive the data in approximately 6 hours. But, sir, I'm detecting massive power buildup from the surrounding alien ships. They're preparing for a coordinated attack. Collins looked at the tactical display. Over 200 enemy vessels were finally working together to destroy the Dakota. Their firepower would vaporize his ship in seconds once they opened fire together. All hands prepare for final battle, Collins announced over the ship's communication system. We've given humanity the tools to win this war. Now we make our last stand count. But on Earth, something extraordinary was already happening. Admiral Kate Wilson stood in the war room at Defense Command, watching as Blake's intelligence data appeared on the main screen. The complete Zephyrian battle plan was laid out before her. Every ship, every target, every weakness. This changes everything, Wilson said to her staff. Signal all fleet commanders. We have complete enemy positions and can coordinate simultaneous strikes across 7 star systems. Within minutes, human forces that had been scattered and defeated were receiving new orders. Ships that had been hiding in asteroid fields suddenly knew exactly where to strike. Colonies that had been preparing for hopeless last stands learned that relief was coming. The quantum communication array that Blake had captured was doing exactly what Kethavar had feared. Humanity was learning things they were never meant to know, and using that knowledge to devastating effect. Lieutenant Frank Harrison, still at his communication station on the dying Dakota, began detecting something unexpected. "Sir, I'm receiving transmissions from human forces across the sector. They're launching coordinated attacks on isolated alien units." Collins smiled despite their desperate situation. The intelligence from the captured flagship was already changing the war. Human ships were striking at Zephyrian supply convoys, communication relays, and isolated patrol groups with perfect timing and coordination. In space around the Proxima Void, the alien fleet found itself leaderless and confused. Without their flagship's coordination, individual ship commanders were making independent decisions. Some tried to retreat to safer positions, others attempted desperate attacks on nearby human colonies. The carefully planned Zephyrian invasion was collapsing as human forces struck at exactly the right places, at exactly the right times. Supply lines were cut. Command ships were destroyed, and isolated alien units found themselves surrounded by enemies who knew their exact positions and capabilities. Captain Martinez received reports of the spreading victories over the captured communication array. "Doctor, are you seeing this? Human forces are winning battles across 12 different star systems." Blake nodded, tears in her eyes. "The Dakota's sacrifice made this possible. Commander Collins and his crew gave us the chance to turn everything around." The USS Dakota fired her last weapons at the surrounding enemy ships, her hull glowing cherry red from repeated hits. But even as she died, the information she had helped capture was spreading across human space like wildfire, igniting hope in places where only despair had existed moments before. The price of victory had been paid by 43 brave souls on a single battleship, but their sacrifice was saving millions of lives across the galaxy. 3 weeks after the Battle of Proxima Void, Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of what had once been the Zephyrian flagship. The massive alien vessel now flew under human colors, renamed the USS Retribution. Her crew was a mix of human engineers and captured alien technicians who had agreed to work together rather than face imprisonment. Martinez looked out at the stars through the main view screen. The war was over, ended not by humanity's destruction but by their victory. The intelligence captured from this very ship had allowed human forces to coordinate the most successful military campaign in their history. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth," reported Lieutenant Tony Clark, her new communications officer. "Admiral Wilson wants to speak with you directly." The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of Admiral Kate Wilson in her office at Earth Defense Command. Behind her, Martinez could see busy staff officers coordinating the new peacetime operations. "Captain Martinez, congratulations on bringing our prize home safely," Wilson said with a smile. "The technology you captured has revolutionized everything. We now have instant communication with every human colony, and our scientists are learning incredible things from Zephyrian systems." Martinez nodded. The journey home had taken 3 weeks, but every day had brought news of more human victories. Alien fleets that had seemed invincible were surrendering or retreating. Colonies that had been under siege were suddenly free. "What's the current status of Zephyrian forces?" Martinez asked. "Completely scattered," Wilson replied. "It turns out, they committed almost their entire military to this invasion. When we broke their coordination and started hitting their supply lines, their whole empire began to collapse. They're suing for peace through 3 different diplomatic channels." Dr. Susan Blake entered the bridge carrying a datapad filled with her latest research. She had spent the voyage home studying every system on the alien ship, making discoveries that would change human technology forever. "Captain, you need to see this," Blake said excitedly. "I've been analyzing their propulsion systems, the quantum displacement technology that brought the Dakota into their fleet. We can improve it dramatically using their engineering principles." Martinez smiled. Blake had become the most important person in human space, her understanding of alien technology making her invaluable to military and civilian leaders alike. How dramatically? We could build ships that can appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly, Blake explained. No more months-long journeys between star systems. We could have a ship from Earth to Alpha Centauri in seconds, not years. The implications were staggering. Human civilization would expand across the galaxy at speeds previously thought impossible. Trade, communication, and military response times would all be revolutionized. There's more, Blake continued. Their quantum communication array isn't just for military use. We can build networks that connect every human world instantly. No more isolation, no more colonies cut off from home for months at a time. On Earth, another revolution was taking place. The wreckage of the USS Dakota had been recovered and brought home for study. Chief Engineer Rick Murphy's detailed logs of the quantum displacement drive were being analyzed by the best scientists humanity had to offer. Commander Jake Collins had been awarded the Medal of Honor posthumously, along with every member of his crew. Their names were carved into a memorial wall that would stand for centuries, honoring the 43 people who had changed the course of human history in less than an hour. The Dakota's sacrifice had proven something important to both humans and aliens, that courage and determination could overcome any odds. The story of one ship appearing where it should have been impossible had spread across the galaxy, becoming legend among a dozen different species. Admiral Kethvar sat in comfortable captivity on Earth, working with human negotiators to arrange the peace treaty. The alien commander had gained respect for his former enemies during his imprisonment. These mammals were not the primitive creatures his people had expected. Your species surprises me, Kethvar told his human interrogators during one session. We studied you for years before the invasion. We thought we understood your capabilities. We were completely wrong. The peace negotiations were proceeding smoothly. The Zephyrian Empire was willing to pay massive reparations and share technology in exchange for ending the war. They had learned that humanity was too dangerous to fight and too valuable to destroy. Back on the Retribution, Martinez received reports from across human space. New colonies were being established using captured alien technology. Ships built with quantum displacement drives were exploring regions of the galaxy that would have taken decades to reach with old technology. Lieutenant Clark looked up from his console with excitement. Captain, I'm receiving a priority message from the new Proxima station. They want to dedicate a memorial to the Dakota and her crew. Martinez nodded approvingly. Proxima Station had been built exactly where the Dakota had made her last stand, serving as both a strategic outpost and a reminder of human courage. The memorial would honor not just Collins and his crew, but every human who had fought against impossible odds. What does the inscription say? Martinez asked. Clark read from his screen. To those who appeared when hope was lost and proved that one ship, crewed by determined humans, could change the fate of worlds. 5 years later, human space had expanded to include over 300 colonies connected by quantum communication networks and served by instant travel ships. The Battle of Proxima Void was studied in military academies across 20 different species as an example of how tactics and courage could defeat superior numbers. Children on Earth learned about Commander Collins and the USS Dakota in their history classes, understanding that freedom sometimes required the ultimate sacrifice. The story became a symbol of human determination, the willingness to attempt the impossible when everything depended on success. The galaxy had learned an important lesson from humanity's victory. Species that had seemed weak or primitive might possess hidden strengths that could surprise everyone. The humans had proven that with enough courage and the right plan, any enemy could be defeated. And in the cold depths of space where the Dakota had made her final stand, Proxima Memorial Station continued its vigil, reminding all who passed that heroes could come from anywhere, and that sometimes one ship really could change everything.